Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's your guy Wayne Anderson, and today we're going to do the first episode of the Road Untraveled series. I have a phenomenal guest, my older brother, Derrick Wali, Army and Navy veteran, ceremonial guard, EMT, firefighter, husband, father, author, visionary, entrepreneur, athlete. And now down some questions because on this channel I want to start opening up on just overall life motivation. That's a great start right here, so we're going to get into it. What's up, bro?
Brother.
8 questions. First section, we got childhood and family life. Second section, we have future and legacy questions. And then the last question, the road less traveled, or the unconventional road in life.
I just feel like life is long, man. I feel like life is long and it could be blissful if you weather the storm. And I felt like it's, even at the low points or rough patches, I always felt like tomorrow's another day. But the quote is, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. I will find that thing that aligns most with me, and I would just go all in, push all the chips in, and go in all in on that thing. Because when you think about it, for example, I saw an ad of like a basketball player holding a jar of motor oil. Mm-hmm. And I could bet you he don't know shit about motor oil. He probably don't change the oil in his own car.
Because I feel like you took a role only you can explain because you've been through so many transitions. So all right, our first one is, what are some of your earliest memories of our childhood, all three of us together?
Wow, that's a good question. I can remember you coming home from the hospital when we lived in New Hope Village in Newark, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. That was really cool. Shortly after, we got up out of there and we ended up moving to the apartment buildings on High Street. Mm-hmm. That was a fun experience. And then shortly after, we had another brother join the gang,
Born Like He.
So time together, our time together has always been good. I feel like we always had like a good relationship between the three of us. I can remember times like babysitting you guys, of course, making sure you guys staying out of. Forget the guy who wrote it, but I actually put it in my book. I'm forgetting the author right now. Like tomorrow, I have an opportunity to do a little bit better than I did yesterday.
So just being optimistic overall.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, that wraps up our interview with Mr. Derrick Wali Anderson. Derrick Wali Anderson. Don't wait for Monday in stores next week. On shelves.
Is to change people's lives and have them start right now, taking action.
Never wait for Monday. In store soon. Next week. All right, 2 more. Well, 3 more. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? I know you're a thinker, a visionary, so you can make it brief.
Yeah, that's a good question. In 10 years, my goal is, of course, to be retired. I aim to do that in the next 3 to 5 years. But in 10 years, I really want to find a way to add value from things that people see as trash or things that people discard. Like I want to create a system where, for example, we can somehow turn trash into things that we can use, right? So I've seen some companies turn trash into shoes, trash into chairs where you can sit down. But I want to find a way to build this ecosystem where it all runs. Like you could have, instead of people being homeless, right? Looking to serve and add value. That's important to me. It's been becoming more and more important. I read this book by a man named Jose Silva. He wrote and created was called The Silva Method. And in one of his talks, he recently passed too, so rest in peace to him. Right. Great man, pioneer in the mind space. He said something that had a real big impact on me. He said, most people think, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, he said, most people think that we're sent here to have an 80-year vacation when it's not the case. You know, we're sent here to improve humanity and add value to this planet. And that's one of those things that's been sitting on me recently because you're talking about 80 years. I'm halfway there. You know, if the first 40 was me figuring things out and get to where I am, the next 40, I want to make sure that it's impactful, that I'm adding value to people, you know, without the ego. That's super important to me. And another thing too, and this is kind of a bit of a sidebar. I was in meditation one day because I do a lot of the Silva techniques, the alpha meditations and things like that. I was in meditation one day and I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't asking for anything. But what came to me was what I can put into words as a question. Instead of people being homeless, build some quarters or some barracks for them. Let them earn a living by processing this stuff and turn it into something that's usable, right? And then just sell it back to people within the community and people all over the world. So you taking this trash that people don't want, don't need, for whatever the case, taking these people who could use a place to live, could use some funds, and allow them an opportunity to work and process these things and turn it into something usable for everybody. So it's like a big circle where you waste nothing. It's like waste not, want not. You don't waste anything. People are not in the street and people have enough to eat. That's like a beautiful cycle. And that's something I really want to pursue in the next, I would say, like 10 years or so.
Okay. We was on what values do you think are the most important to live by? You said humility, being humble. You could take it from there.
Yeah, I would say looking to serve and add value. That's important to me. It's been becoming more and more important. I read this book by a man named Jose Silva. He wrote and created was called The Silva Method. And in one of his talks, he recently passed too, so rest in peace to him. Right. Great man, pioneer in the minefield, mind space. He said something that had a real big impact on me. I was in meditation one day because I do a lot of the Silva techniques, the alpha meditations and things like that. I was in meditation one day and I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't asking for anything. But what came to me was what I can put into words as a question. And what I left that meditation with was, if you are not in pursuit of the best version of yourself, who is worse off because of it? That shit shook me. It was like, damn, so if I'm not the best version of myself, or at least trying to be the best version of myself, I'm hanging people out to dry. That's how I took it personally. And of course, out of my first due, but it was a different kind of home because we had to take a boat to get there. And this testing and this investigation process that we had to go to was a private island from a guy who not only owned his private island, but he was a publisher, owned a private island, and he had tenants that also lived on this island. So the way he lived blew my mind. And that's kind of led me on this path of like wanting to write, wanting to publish, and, you know, putting out my own book. You know, my first book actually, next week is called Never Wait for Monday. And I want people to check it out, and not just check it out, but use it and become greater. That's the intention. That's the purpose of this book,
Never
this
wait
project.
For Monday. All right. Next up, we have, what values do you think are most important to live by?
And the intention of this book is to empower people past procrastination. That's the intention. And a lot of the things in that book is what I've used personally to get to a point where I can start and, most importantly, finish a book. So check it out. It's going to be on Amazon next week. I'll finish things up. I'm working on some back end things to add more value and things like that. But the intention is to, like I said earlier, empower people past procrastination and have them change their lives for the better. It's super important to me. He also told me I was always interested in reading and learning more, but he was like, what you learn is important. And he told me to read a book called First Break All the Rules. That was very impactful too. So big shout out to him for sure, because he changed my mindset in a huge way. That's a great question.
What?
Yeah, crazy numbers. I remember one night, this is kind of random.
That's all good.
He told me, no, somebody was like kind of gossiping about him. He locked his keys in a car, so he just bust the window out and went in there and got his keys, right? And everybody at the fire station, they was like low-key hating. It was like, why would he do that, XYZ? And in my mind, I'm like, he did it because he can. You know, it ain't nothing to him. But that thought didn't really cross their mind. I got to say,
player too.
He was just like, man, you know, somebody else would be like, call a locksmith, all that kind of stuff, get a hanger, try to get open. He was just like, man, get them keys. I'll get this fixed later.
In a positive way. That's kind of gangster. Like,
yeah.
Do what you want.
It just,
I've never even seen that in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it blew my mind. It blew my mind. And those conversations with him, for example, it was one night we were sitting in it's like a little office area where you can do homework, all that kind of stuff, study fire stuff, whatever. I opened up my email and it was like thousands of emails. He was like, why you got all those emails? Delete the ones you don't need. Like,
Simple things, but
impactful. Like, keep your stuff on point. Like, clean your stuff up. Like, tidy your things up. Don't have stuff all over the place. And I was like, damn, I should delete these emails. Like, they useless to me. They're just taking up space.
Right.
But things like that will stay with me forever. And one more thing that came from me firefighting. And this is a guy, I don't even know his name. But when I left the Army, you know, her being that person, she inspired me to buy my first house, you know, at 20.
Who has been the most influential person in your life and why, if you can break it down to one person? If not, you can list the people, but I want you to break down one person, whoever you pick.
That's so many people.
That is, okay.
So many people.
All right, so go down the list, and then whoever you want to break down, you can break them down. You can go down the list of people.
Okay. I'm going to start with mommy for sure. Like I said earlier, like life is hard and parenting is harder. So to be a single parent, to be a two-parent household is rough. You know what I mean? I can't imagine what it's like to do it by yourself. You know, like me and Julia, my wife. Shout out to me and more. We wake up for real. We wake up, do our gym thing, of course. Mm-hmm. If not the gym, we take a walk. Whatever, we work out. We try to stay active first thing in the morning. But from the moment we get up till we lay down to go to sleep at night, because when I was back in the Army, I was on active duty. I was working, of course, my regular Army schedule and things like that. But in the evenings and on the weekends, I will volunteer as a firefighter, not too far from Fort Belvoir, a fire department called OWL. And there was a gentleman in there who impacted my life in profound ways that I'm still realizing to this day. For example, he taught me what Maslow's hierarchy of needs were. And at the time, I've never heard of it. He talked about how important it is to be altruistic and to give and to serve and to add value to people's lives, not just what you can get, but what you can give. And this man was the first EMT in the state of Virginia. He went on to retire from I believe it was the Alexandria Police Department. Mm-hmm. He went on to partner with other people and build the company we now know today as Capital One. A lot of people don't know that because he's really low key. So of course he has wealth and things like that. You know, is focused on providing for these kids, making sure they got what they need, making sure that we are supporting them not only like financially but emotionally, because we have all girls. Shout out to my girls too. We have all girls, so that emotional intelligence is huge. Being able to support them emotionally is big. Parenting is tough. We had a talk this morning. Yeah. And I was like, you're a grown man. You're going to do what you want to do.
You put it perfectly, because you was like, bro, this is my strong opinion. I'm not forcing it on you, but I want to let you know. Right. So I think you did it perfectly. I'm taking that from you. It's perfect. Like, yo, like, this is my opinion. I know you're going to make your own moves, but I'm just letting you know what I think. And I respect it. And I appreciate it, because I'm lucky to have siblings like y'all. Like, y'all really helped me out. Yeah. All right. Next, were there any moments where you felt particularly protective or responsible for me or us? Probably goes hand in hand. So.
Yeah, still to this day. Like, I still feel that to this day. Mm-hmm. To this day. I mean, that's something that's probably never going to go away. It's just being that older sibling. Mm-hmm. That protective instinct wants you guys to, you know, enjoy life and avoid the mistakes that I've made. So I try to impart that wisdom when I can, without being too bossy. Like, hey, I'm the older brother. You gotta listen to me. So that's something I battle with. Like, parenting is tough. So I'm grateful for her, and you know, and everything that she put into us. The next person I will have to say is grandma. Like, she's so influential to me. And I actually have her picture up at the top shelf in my office. You know, because she is the matriarch of the Anderson family. And for me, that's impactful because that's what I look to be. You know, that next generation of, you know, wherever we are, anywhere.
Our last question was, I feel like you kind of answered it. How did you see our sibling dynamic? We were kids. You left off at what? Plainfield, New Jersey.
Yep. So we left Fairview Homes
Mm-hmm.
and made a move to Plainfield, New Jersey. I was leaving my junior year, starting my senior year
Mm-hmm.
in Plainfield High, and great move. I think it was definitely needed. I was going a little bit crazy around that time, so it was definitely the change of scenery was right on time, and yeah, that move was helpful. I appreciate that move, and Plainfield is where you guys kind of really grew up.
Yeah. All right.